everyone knows that most of the plans that can be bought with gold in Fallout 76 are pretty useful, whether you want the best armors in the game or some of the best weapons in the game. But what exactly are the best options you should go after? What gives you the best bang for your buck? Well, don't worry, I got you covered. I wanted to create a list of what I think are the 10 best overall gold plans in Fallout 76. Now, we got everything from armor plans, camp plans, resource collectors, and of course, I couldn't forget about those ally plans. Also, I wanted to cover all of our bases. So we got a lot to cover. Let's jump in right now. Before we get into the full list, I wanted to quickly go over how to get gold in Fallout 76 in case you're a newer player. So you can get gold by cashing in treasury notes, and there are a few ways to get treasury notes, but let me just say you can't drop or trade them, so you'll have to grind them out per each character. So I just wanted to cover a few ways, what I think are probably the best ways to get treasury notes, and that's going to be, first up, obviously, events. You get treasury notes from completing public events at any level, so it doesn't matter if there's like a seasonal event like Fasnacht or Meat Week, you could seriously stock up on some extra treasury notes, but that's a massive passive way to gain treasury notes. Just make sure that you're jumping from public event to public event every 20 minutes that they go live in the Wasteland. Now, personally, my favorite way of obtaining treasury notes has to be probably the most brain dead way on this list, at least for me, because I've done them so much, and that has to be the expeditions. It's definitely not the most efficient way of getting treasury notes anymore, but again, it's guaranteed, and you could farm expeditions as many times as you want per day, so you could farm an endless amount of treasury notes per day. And then I also wanted to mention probably the best way of getting treasury notes, and that's going to be the first stage of the raid, or just doing all of the stages of the raid, but the first one you could get done in literally less than a minute. You could get 10 treasury notes per run, which is pretty great, so 10 treasury notes every 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, you do it for an hour and you'll pretty much be stocked up forever, and you'll be able to get whatever gold plans that you wanted. Now, those are some good ways to get treasury notes: the events, expeditions, and then of course the raid. You can get them from some other stuff in the game like daily ops too, but who wants to do daily ops? So I would just stick to events, expedition, and raids if you want to get treasury notes. And then you also can purchase straight up gold from one vendor in all of Fallout 76 after you complete the main Wastelanders game, or storyline, excuse me, and that's gonna be Smiley. You could find Smiley dressed up in American gear in the Wayward on the second floor after completing the Wastelanders main quest. Like I said, you can get up to 300 gold for 600 caps from him once per week, so that's also just a really nice way to, you know, stay topped up on gold and also reduce the amount of caps that you're carrying on your character at all times. Again, these aren't all of the ways that you could get gold or treasury notes, but I just wanted to mention some ways that players should be doing every single day, no matter what. Again, events, you can only do a minimum of them per day, you know what I mean? There's only a certain amount per day and everything because they only pop up every 20 minutes, so just keep that in mind. Expeditions, you could do endlessly, and you could also do it if you're not a top-tier endgame player. Expeditions are pretty easily, and you'll be able to get the most sensational game, Atlantic City one, done in probably about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. And then obviously the raids also are going to be the overall best way to get treasury notes if you can solo the raids. And don't forget about our man Smiley up in the Wayward. Now, let's finally get into the list. And like I said, starting at number 10, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a terrible weapon or a terrible plan or anything like that. And the first gold plan that I wanted to talk about is going to be arguably actually one of the best weapons in the game, well, at least for a specific category, and that's going to be the best shotgun in the game, and it's the Gauss shotgun. I will say they're constantly buffing or nerfing this weapon, so it may be god tier 1 week and then kind of mid the next, and that's why it's at number 10, because you never know how good this thing will be. Again, it seems to change on like a daily basis, so just keep that in mind. But that's all shotguns in general. If you're a shotgun main in Fallout 76, first off, my condolences for you. Secondly, I do know that they have been kind of changing up how just shotguns work in Fallout in general, and they've been nerfing them nonstop, and they've been changing it up, so I do really feel bad for you. However, though, I don't think it's that controversial of a thing to say. If you are a shotgun main, or if you do want to use a shotgun build, the Gauss shotgun and the Cold Shoulder are probably going to be the two weapons that you're going to be switching from the most, unless you run a heavy build also than probably the Pepper Shaker, but we're talking about gold plans, and that's why we're talking about the Gauss shotgun. So again, if you are running a shotgun build, this is probably going to be your main weapon. It has more ammo than the cold shoulder, and you could obviously mod it to maybe be bloodied, or, you know, you could change it up and it will fit your playstyle. Overall, it's a really great weapon. It's just, unfortunately, shotguns aren't the best in the entire game. If this was like the Fallout 3 shotguns and how they worked, this would probably be the best gun in the entire game, much like the terrible shotgun was in that game. But anyway, the Gauss shotgun is fantastic. We're going to put it at number 10, and the Gauss shotgun and all of its mods can be obtained from Samuel in Foundation for 500 gold after completing the main Wastelander story if you have a ally reputation with the settlers. So that's the first way of getting it. And then also, obviously, a lot of these plans can be obtained from the #1 hustler in the Wasteland, and that's going to be from Minerva for a discount. So you can buy the Gauss shotgun from Minerva for a discount if you wait until she comes to the Wasteland. And then again, all the mods, you could get them from Samuel or you could get them from Minerva. So just make sure you're keeping your eye out for Minerva if you are planning on running a shotgun main on one of your characters. But if not, go ahead, spend the 500 gold, and then obviously just buy as many mods as you want for this thing. But 500 gold for probably the best shotgun in the entire game, definitely well worth it. But unfortunately, the nerfing consistency or inconsistencies is why it's coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we're actually going to move towards a camp item now. And no, it's not a resource generator like I mentioned. It's actually a player buff, and I consider this thing to be probably the best player buff camp item in the entire game besides just the normal bed. But it's going to be the mechanical derby game, or derby game, however you pronounce it, depending on where you are in the world. But this thing is definitely useful, and I wouldn't suggest getting it as soon as you get your hands on enough gold. I would suggest you wait and get some other items on this list, especially if you don't have any of the #1 item on this list. You're definitely going to want to hold off on buying this. However, though, if you bought some of your weapons, if you bought the best armors in the game, and if you're wondering what to spend your gold on, this is something that I cannot live without, and it's constantly at every single one of my camps. So like I said, I wouldn't suggest you get it until you're at least a little bit more endgame, and it is definitely an endgame item. But if you place this down at your camp and simply interact with it, it will grant you, the player, a +2 to your intelligence for 30 minutes, which will directly affect how much XP you're able to get. So if you need to power level up your character, this thing is perfect for you. If you want to run through your seasons even faster at West-Tech or through the raids, this thing is a must-have. If you want to just increase your overall daily XP from playing the game, this thing it makes that achievable. I consider it a must-have on all of my characters, and again, it's not a, you know, as soon as you get enough gold to purchase it, get it, because it'll increase your playstyle or increase the quality of life that you have out there in the Wasteland. I suggest you grab a lot of other items before you grab this thing. That's why it's at number 9. But if you are endgame and if you want to level yourself up a little bit faster, this is the way to go. This plan can be obtained from Mortar in the Crater Core for a whopping 1,250 gold, and you'll need a reputation of cooperative with the Raiders. So again, for 1,250 gold, you could basically permanently increase your player's intelligence by +2, which isn't that bad of a deal. But moving on to number 8. Before we get into number 8, I do just quickly have to correct myself, because I was just going over the last audio, and I think I said that you could get the mechanical derby game from Mortar in the Crater Core, and it's actually from Mortimer in the Crater Core, not Mortar, but I apologize. Moving on to number 8, we have another camp item, and no, it's not a resource generator either. It's the much controversial military grade cryo freezer, and if you couldn't tell already, guess what this thing does? It freezes food and prevents spoiling. So do yourself a favor, if you use food and if you don't want to farm food items every single day, or if you have a certain food generator like the Mirelurk steamer, and if you get the Mirelurk or the cooked soft shell Mirelurk to boost your carry weight and everything like that, and if you don't want to constantly farm it, you can just stockpile it and throw it up in there. And I believe you could stockpile up to 50 pieces of food inside of the military grade cryo freezer. Someone please let me know if that is incorrect in the comments. But if you don't want to farm food every day, and if you don't want to use a perk card to carry more food that won't spoil, do yourself a favor and grab this. I promise you, this is a must-have if you use food. And if you don't use food in Fallout 76, you're definitely going to want to. You could literally buff every single aspect of your character significantly. XP gain, carry weight, AP refresh. You could buff literally everything. It doesn't matter. And this is just a great way to make it so then if you farm once a week, let's say on Tuesday when the servers reset and everything like that, you'll basically be good for an entire month or maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you fill up your military grade cryo freezer with just a bunch of different food items that you'll use on the daily. But this item can be obtained from our boy Mortimer in the crater for a whopping 1,250 gold, just like the Mechanical Derby game, and you'll need a reputation of cautious with the Raiders. Now again, this one is just a pure quality of life upgrade, and I highly suggest every player get it. It was first added with a Fallout first paywall, so a lot of people were against it, but now that it costs gold, everyone seems to have let that slide a little bit, but it's a mandatory for every player. If you're a veteran and if you don't have this thing at your camp, seriously, what are you doing? Do yourself a favor and grab this thing. It's extremely worth the 1,250 gold. And if you're a newer player, do yourself a favor and look up some good food recipes that you could stock up on, so then you'll be able to buff your character. This one I actually do suggest you maybe get a little bit earlier on than the Mechanical Derby one, just because, again, you could literally just stock that full of cranberry relish and constantly, buff your XP. You could put, grilled ragstad meat in there and just constantly buff your carry weight. It doesn't matter. This thing is a must-have. Moving on to number 7. Coming in at lucky number 7, we're moving away from the camp items for 1 second, and we're focusing more on that character quality of life that I talked about in the intro. I highly suggest every player grab either the Chemist or the Grocer backpack mods. Now, you may be saying, really, backpack mods? That's not what I want to spend my gold on, but it's ridiculously cheap, and the buff that it gives you is just extremely worth it. Now, the Chemist backpack mod reduces the weight of, you guessed it, chems, and the Grocer's backpack mod reduces the weight of food and drink items. So if you haven't noticed yet, they basically can free up a perk card slot by replacing either Traveling Pharmacy or Through Hikers, which again reduce the weight of chems and reduce the weight of food and drink items. Now, I highly suggest every player run either of these backpack mods, just depending on what you use more. It's just to improve your quality of life in the game, and also it could actually lead to you doing some more damage, because if you take out Traveling Pharmacy, you could put another, like a Heavy Guns buffing card in there and get a little bit more damage out of your character, but instead, you have a perk card in there that's just reducing the weight of all your stim packs, because you are just a hoarder and you pick up every single little chem that you find. But don't worry, I'm like that too. That's why I use the Chemist backpack and I take out the Traveling Pharmacy card, so then I could just get as much damage out of my character as I possibly can. And if you're a food build, then you may want to use the Grocer's mod, so then you could get rid of the Through Hikers card and then also improve your damage output a little bit. But the Chemist mod can be bought from Mortimer in the Crater Core for 350 gold, and you'll need a friendly reputation with the Raiders if you wanted to go the Chemist route. Now, the Grocer's backpack can actually be obtained from Samuel in Foundation for 350 gold, and you'll need a reputation with the Settlers. Or if you don't want to grind out the reputation, you could get both of these items from Minerva for a discount if you wait until her inventory cycles to include it. And again, either of these mods are kind of a must-have for all characters, plus they're so cheap just 350 gold maximum, or sometimes even a little bit less. It's extremely, extremely valuable and just laughable not to buy. If you barely use food, go with the chemist, and if you use food, go with the grocers. These backpack mods were added when they first added the Wastelanders and everything like that, so if you chose the raider route, you would have access to the chemist, and if you chose the settlers, you would have access to the grocers. But you can now choose both of them, so go with whatever one fits your playstyle better. It doesn't really matter. Personally, I use the chemist. But on to number 6. And at number 6, we're heating things up a little bit before we hit our final 5. We have the somewhat newly added Cremator. This is probably the newest gold plan on this list, but even though this weapon has been nerfed a little bit over the years, you could say now. Damn, I think this weapon's actually been out for like 2 years now, maybe a year and a half, but it basically was nerfed as soon as it came to the main servers. It's still arguably one of the best heavy weapons in Fallout 76, period, because it's basically a heavy flamer from Fallout New Vegas, so if you're having flashbacks while seeing this thing, that's why. The Cremator is similar to the Flamer, but it shoots a giant ball of fire over a solid distance instead of just spilling out a constant wave of flames like the Flamer. But it's amazing at crowd control. You can mod it and you can put different effects on it, and it is seriously one of the best weapons in the entire game. It's so fun to use. It is a little bit expensive on the ammo outtake, but hey, you get out what you put in, you know what I mean? If you're going to put in a bunch of ammo to take down some enemies, it better be worth it, and the Cremator definitely has that effect, but it could take out a horde of enemies in just a few shots. You could either build this weapon to do a bunch of straight up damage, which is awesome for bossing, or you could have it do a crazy amount of damage over time and slowly burn your enemies away and help out other people in the Wasteland. Either way, you'll be good to go when using this weapon. The earlier you get it, the less worried you'll be about completing really like the end game's content, because this weapon could pretty much get you through all of the end game content. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. It is one of the better heavy weapons on this list, and of course it could be obtained from the one, the only Mortimer at the Raiders core for a very worth it and well priced 750 gold. And you could also get all of the mods from Mortimer as well, and you'll need a reputation of ally with the Raiders. I highly suggest every player get this weapon. It does a stupid amount of damage anyway, so if you use it, you won't be disappointed. If you don't run a heavies build and if you're just stockpiling gold, do yourself a favor, grab the Cremator and just try it out. It really is one of the most low effort weapons in the entirety of Fallout 76. You just have to be careful of burning through your ammo when you're burning through the hordes of super mutants. But again, seriously, no one could argue this is one of the best weapons in the entire game, and it's only 750 gold. That's why we're putting it at number 6. Moving on to number 5. Breaking the top 5 at number 5, we have another heavy weapon, and you better get used to it. We have the ammo efficient beast, the Plasma Caster. That's right, the veterans know about this weapon, and if you've never heard of it, you'll want to pay attention. The Plasma Caster is a single shot heavy weapon that fires, well, you guessed it, plasma, and it's by far the best weapon to farm plasma ammo with, because it's so ammo efficient and it's so strong. It'll take, if you build this thing correctly, you could one-shot basically every single enemy, including super mutants. So you'll one-shot kill a super mutant and they'll drop anywhere from 5 to 20 plasma carts if you use this weapon. You'll have 1, a beast, a powerhouse of a heavy weapon, and 2, you won't ever have to worry about ammo again, which was why it was so loved when this weapon first came out, because ammo farming sucked back when Fallout 76 was relatively a lot newer than it is now, and they've given players a lot easier way to farm up ammo. But back in the day when this game first came out, when Wastelanders first came out, it was a terrible experience, so everyone wanted to have this thing, and they've just never nerfed it. This gun is super reliable, and again, it'll get you through most of Fallout 76's additional content. I wouldn't really suggest it with the Rage just because it gets so overshadowed by other weapons, and especially another one on this list. But again, you'll have a super powerhouse of a weapon that could like two-shot a Scorched Beast, and you know what I mean, and one-shot a super mutant, or two-shot a super mutant behemoth, and then you'll also never have to worry about ammo again. So it's really convenient. Again, if you wanted to use this thing along with some of the other things that we're going to talk about on this list for armor and everything, you could turn yourself into just like a lazy tank where you literally just vats in on an enemy, one-shot them, go and pick up the loot, and gain all of your ammo back plus more. So again, if you want to go through Fallout 76's additional content, this is really the way to do it. Again, I prefer running this thing on just a lazy high VATS heavy gunner build, and again, you could do enough damage to one-shot super mutants. It's a stupidly overpowered weapon. Along with now, the weapon itself, along with all of the mods, can be obtained from regs at Vault 79 after completing the main Wasteland storyline for a well worth it 750 gold. Again, you'll just have to complete the main storyline, get the gold, and then you can immediately purchase it after. And it only costs 750 gold, which is really an investment well spent. If you want to get your money's worth, I highly suggest you consider purchasing the Plasma Caster, because not only, again, do you have a super reliable weapon that'll do great damage against pretty much every single enemy, but you'll never have to worry about getting ammo for that weapon again, because you pretty much quadruple your ammo every single time you kill an enemy. Coming in at number 4, we have somewhat of a controversial pick because it's been pushed out of the spotlight a little bit by the Gatling plasma and everything recently. But we have another heavy gun at number 4, and I promise this is the last one on the list. But you could probably guess I'm talking about the Beast, the Gauss minigun. Again, this weapon is a powerhouse. The ammo, unlike the Plasma Caster, is a little bit costly considering it's a Gauss weapon, and this thing shoots so fast, and it just has a large mag, so you'll be burning through all of your cells pretty much as soon as you get them. But if you need a raid weapon or a bossing weapon, you may want to consider the Gauss minigun if you can't get your hands on a Gatling plasma, or if you just want a consistent weapon that really hasn't been nerfed too much over the years. I feel like this is one of the only heavy weapons that hasn't really been touched. But personally, I don't really like cheesing the raid, so this is my main raid go-to weapon. It does a bunch of damage really fast while having a crazy large magazine, so you really don't have to worry about your weapon. You could just worry about your health when you're going into the raids. But speaking of, you know, the Gauss minigun, it's fantastic. I love it. It's definitely well worth it, and I think every player should go out there and get it, even if you're not a heavy weapons build, or if you are not one yet, maybe think about becoming a heavy weapons build, just because there are so many good gold plans that you could get for ridiculously cheap, again, considering that the Plasma Caster is only 750, and the Gauss minigun and all of its mods can be obtained, of course, from the plug of this video so far, Mortimer at the Crater Core, for a very well worth it 750 gold, and you'll need an ally reputation with the Raiders, just like many of the other plans on this list too. The Gauss minigun can be obtained from Minerva if you're lucky enough to catch her in the Wasteland. But again, if you're struggling to find good weapons, like let's say you just beat the game, you're still running around with like a submachine gun that's a 1-star, or you're running around with a super sledge that's a 2-star or something, seriously sit down and consider maybe changing up your build to include heavy guns, and then buy some of these heavy weapons that are on this list, like the Cremator, the Plasma Caster, or the Gauss minigun. Any of those 3 weapons will basically carry you through all of the game's content, and you won't really have to worry about your main weapon anymore. You could kind of just focus on building up your character and getting better at the game. But that's number 4. It's the Gauss minigun. Every single player get it. If you need a raid weapon, this should be your starting raid weapon before you go out and you build other raid weapons. It's just 750 gold, and you really only need 1 or 2 mods with it, so you'll get, you know, this thing for 1,250 gold fully modded out, and you won't have to worry about a weapon again. But now, moving on to number 3. Now we're in the top 3. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for sticking around if you made it this far, but we're switching things up a little bit with this one because we have our first armor set of the entire video, and now this is probably my favorite set of armor in the entire game, especially if I'm playing on a ghoul character, and you know I'm talking about the Brotherhood Recon. Recon armor ad Victoriam. This armor is amazing. It's my all-time favorite. I think it looks great. It offers great protection, and it works so well on a ghoul character because it has a considerably low radiation resistance, but has a higher DR than pretty much all other armor sets in the game, including an armor set that we're going to talk about a little bit later on this list. If you know, you know. But this armor is perfect for literally any ghoul character. So if you are going after a ghoul character, and if you have enough gold, this is what you should go after. This is going to be your main armor set, whether you're going for a ghoul melee character or a ranged ghoul character. It does not matter. The Brotherhood Recon armor is going to be the armor for you. Now, however, though, the reason why it's not more used is that it is pretty difficult to obtain, unfortunately. The reason why it's not the #1 meta for everyone is that it's pretty difficult to be obtained. All the suit, the armor itself and all of its mods can be obtained from either Minerva, which is decent, but you can get it from Minerva for a stupidly expensive 7,500 gold if you're lucky enough to catch her on the right inventory cycle. The next one is actually coming up September 8th, so right after Season 22 starts, you'll be able to get this armor for 7,500 gold, so stay tuned. I will be making a video on that, or you could get it as an extremely rare drop from Daily Ops as one of your daily rare rewards if you complete the operation in under 8 minutes. Now, in over 2,000 hours of Fallout 76 on the Xbox, I've never gotten a full set of this armor from just Daily Ops. It's beyond difficult to get, but it's so worth the grind. So if you can save up your gold in time, definitely keep an eye out for when this armor set pops up on Minerva. But and of course, Minerva doesn't sell the mods and the armor plans in the same week. They're sold a few weeks apart, so you can't mod it right away. But I promise you, it's well worth it. I run it on my ghoul every single day. It's my go-to armor on all of my ghoul characters. If I'm on a non-ghoul character, I may switch up my armor, but again, this thing just has such a good damage resistance, it doesn't matter. And again, the reason why it's not more used is because it's so either expensive or difficult to get. 7,500 gold from Minerva pretty much once a year, or you can get it from Daily Ops. But again, good luck. You have to complete an operation once a day in under 8 minutes, basically until the RNG gods bless you. But I promise, it's my favorite armor in the entire game. Moving on to number 2. Keeping with the same trend of armor, in our number 2 spot, we have our only power armor on the list, and you know I'm talking about the goated T65 power armor. The T65 power armor is the overall best power armor set in the game. If you're going for a power armor build, this should be your #1 priority. The stats are beyond perfect. You're basically a walking tank with this thing. You could even walk around bloodied and not even care. You won't ever have to use a stim pack. You get so much protection while inside of this thing. You're a walking tank, so if you have this thing, you're able to really build your character more focused towards damage rather than survivability, because this thing just completely takes over the survivability. Now, this should be your go-to power armor, even if you're not a power armor build. Every player eventually needs power armor, whether it's for the raids or it's for going in certain areas in the maps or completing certain events. You need power armor. So make sure that this is it. This is the gold standard of power armor. Don't get me wrong, obviously the Union power armor is god tier as well, but this is a gold video, not a stamps video, so sorry Union fans, we'll get you next time. This one, the T65, is taking the cake. This tank of a power armor set and all of its mods can of course be obtained from the one, the only, Regs in Vault 79 for a total of 6,900 gold after completing the main story, Wastelanders, which is perfect since you'll pretty much need this thing to handle all of the harder content in the game, especially if you're a solo player or a low level or you're just not that good at the game. This is this is the way to go. You're going to want this. Now, you could also get this power armor from the number one hustler in the entirety of the Wasteland, Minerva. But so if you're able to get it from Minerva, obviously get it if you're not a power armor user. But if you are a power armor user, this should be your number one go-to. I highly suggest if you don't use power armor, wait until Minerva, grab this thing. But if you do use power armor, you need it ASAP. Just spend the gold. I promise you'll be able to do whatever, and then do yourself a favor also and grab the calibrated shocks mod just to increase your carry weight so you'll never have to leave your new mobile fortress. I promise you though, the C65 power armor is pretty much the best power armor in the game, and it's locked behind a gold paywall. Do yourself a favor, save up the 6,900, 7,000 gold, and get this armor from regs as fast as you possibly can. If you're consistent with your farming methods of treasury notes and everything, you should be able to get the entire power armor set in, like a week or two, maybe, if you're really out there grinding. But it's well worth the grind, I promise you. Now let's move on to our honorable mentions. Before we get into our number one spot, I wanted to throw in our honorable mentions. If you've been paying attention, you would have noticed that I didn't include any collectrons, those resource collectors, or any allies. I just wanted to pick one of each, because there are so many options. You can make a video for each category. So let's start off with the ally honorable mention that you should buy with gold if you're looking for any allies. Now, I would choose Leo Pietrov. Leo Pietrov gives, if you give a Nuka-Cola cranberry, which can be found in multiple locations across the Wasteland, or you could even get a Nuka-Cola collectron and stock up on them. But if you give him a Nuka-Cola cranberry, he gives you a 5% stackable XP boost that stacks with all other XP boost in the entire game. So again, this is kind of just like the mechanical derby. If you're looking for an extra way to get another stackable XP boost, Leo is your man. I normally wouldn't care about an ally, but if I had to pick one to buy, it definitely would be Leo, and it's strictly just for that 5% XP boost. He's not much of a conversation starter, but Leo can be obtained from Samuel in Foundation for 4,000 gold, just like all of the other allies. There are some other allies that give you XP boosts too, but Leo, I think, is probably just overall the easiest, and again, it does stack with everything. So 4,000 gold from Samuel in Foundation, and you will need a ally reputation with the Settlers. But again, I wouldn't buy Leo unless you're a little further on in the endgame and you already have number one on this list and some solid weapons, because Leo is great for power leveling or for season rushing, so you could beat season the next season in a day. But besides that, I would definitely plan on getting some gear before going after this ally to give you that 5% XP boost. I know 5% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you have 5% from Leo, you have, 15 from another thing, then you have your food boost, and then you're all the way basically up at 100% XP boost, and then plus obviously you have the lunch boxes on top of that. You'll thank me, and you'll really, really, really complete the season or level up significantly faster. And I said that there were two honorable mentions because I also had to mention some type of collectron. Now, they're not the most useful things in the Wasteland, but why wouldn't you want some form of passive collecting happening at your camp while you're out there exploring? And you could get so many different types of collectrons. You could get one that gets you Nuka-Cola, you could get one that gets you chems, you get one that gets you junk, and then obviously my personal favorite has to be the auto miner. That's going to be our honorable mention. Now, why the auto miner? Why not the Nuka-Cola? So many people choose the Nuka-Cola because drinking Nuka-Cola drinking all types of different Nuka-Colas gives you different buffs. But me personally, the auto miner, if you don't know what he does, you probably could guess he mines for you 24/7 like a kid addicted to the craft, but you could easily stay consistently topped off on lead and other materials like copper or just literally steel or anything. You could even go to workshops and stack them if you're super low on ammo crafting supplies and if you're lower level. But again, this is mainly why I like to have him around. If you're AFK or if you're doing anything like that, you could come back and collect a bunch of materials to make ammo. If you're a lower level and if you're struggling with ammo, Boom, there you go. This is the perfect solution for you. And also, he's not that expensive. The plans for the auto miner collectron can be obtained from Samuel in Foundation for a somewhat worth it 1,250 gold with a cautious reputation with the settlers. Again, don't buy it if you're level 50 and you just got gold, but if you're a little bit of a higher level, maybe 100, 150, or maybe even 80, and if you have all the other gold plans on this list that you wanted, this is definitely going to be the collectron that you should actually spend your gold on if you're a little bit further into the end game, because extra lead and extra copper and all those extra ores will always come in handy. And just like that, we finally made it to our number 1 spot. Thank you so much if you stuck around, but I think a lot of you already know what plan I'm gonna say, and it's the one, it's the only, it's the best armor in the game. It's the Secret Service armor. If you don't know, like I just said, this is considered to be the best armor in the game by far. Again, I like the Brotherhood armor a little bit better, but I do use only the Secret Service armor on all of my non-ghoul characters because I know it's again the best armor in the entire game. I get it. It has the best adaptive stats in the whole game, and it can fit really any build or playstyle. If you're a non-power armor user, this is the first thing you should buy with your gold. You'll be set on armor for the rest of your time playing Fallout 76. I promise it's that good. You really won't need any more. This was literally the only armor choice for endgame players for about like 6 years until they added the civil engineer armor with the Atlantic City update. And then they changed up all the perk cards and everything like that. So then they have the light armor and the heavy armor. So they changed the entire system. Still though, after all of the changes, the Secret Service armor is in the top 2 of all armors, and you could just get it for some gold. It's not that hard to get, and it's the perfect set of armor that you could really get for any of your characters. Now, this armor, again, can be obtained by the one, the only, the regs in Vault 79 for a total of 4,250 gold, or you can get it from the Wasteland's #1 hustler, Minerva, if you catch her on the right week. But yeah, it's the best armor in the game. Why not get it as fast as you can? You could get away with using non-gold plan weapons the entire game. You could use a fixer or a railroad, but it will definitely be a lot harder to do the same without Secret Service armor, or at least if you're not a power armor build. But it's the best armor in the game. If you've been looking out for that end game armor, this is it. This is how you could get it. Do yourself a favor and just save up for it. Get it out of the way early so you can grind towards the weapons and the camp items. But the Secret Service armor, by far best armor that you're going to get in the entire game, especially if it's the first armor set that you or the first end game armor set that you really get. Just be careful, obviously don't throw some stupid modifications on it, or don't throw some stupid effects on it, and make it useless. However, though, Secret Service armor going down, #1 spot. It is the best gold plan in all of Fallout 76, and I highly suggest every single player go after it, power armor or not. If you're not a power armor player, it should be the first gold plan that you strive for. Well, there we have it, ladies and gents of the Wasteland. We've made it to the end of another Fallout 76 video. I hope you found it useful. I think all of these plans are standouts in terms of the inventories out there. You should grab them if you want an overall easy time in the Wasteland. Again, the Secret Service armor, all of the weapons on this list, all the heavy weapons, you could kind of skip the Gauss shotgun, but I just had to add it for all of the shotgun players out there. But again, if you had to grab 2 things on this entire list, grab the Secret Service armor and the Cremator, you'll be able to solo 90% of this game's content. And if you grab the Secret Service armor and the Gauss minigun, you may even be able to solo the raid pretty easily. If you're a power armor player, just grab the T65 and the Cremator or the Gauss minigun and you will be fine. But what was your favorite? Do you agree with this list? What was your favorite item on this list? If you don't agree with this list, let me know what you would change in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video. I will see you out there in the Wasteland. Good luck blowing through that extra gold.